welcome back to my channel. It's Banter with Oye, and we're still reviewing the book by Max Cillian titled Oil, Politics and Violence, which discusses the military coup culture between 1966 and 1976. And today we'll be talking about the Nigerianization program. Nigerianization program simply means the transfer of army command from the British to the Nigerian officers. Now, this, bear with me here. Discussing this is very important because it makes us understand the dynamics of what led to the coup and the insights of why that actually happened. The program was segmented along the lines of ethnic divide. It's like this tribalistic situation. It was a tribal divide, even from that point, at that point, which still speaks to the fact that whether it was intentional or not, these people, the British, made this divide more intense. They contributed immensely to this division of the people of Nigeria. First, the most educated senior Nigerian non-commissioned officers serving in the British were sent for a 6-month program in the UK, places like Eton or, and after their, after the training, these are senior officers. After the training, they were commissioned as officers of the army. Now, the first Nigerian to be commissioned was Louis Victor Uboma in 1948. And then we had Duke Bassey from Ghana. Shout out Ghana. Then we had Johnson Agoyironsi and Samuel Ademilegun in 1949. Take note of these two names. We all know Johnson Agoyironsi, and but take note of Samuel Ademilegun. I want, because his name is going to be coming up a lot in this story. So now, to increase the number of officers, they also reserved slots for Nigerians in the elite Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst in the UK. It's important. This is also a piece of information that is very, very key to this entire thing. This place, this Sandhurst in the UK, this is where you had the likes of Prince Harry, the Crown Prince of Jordan. They train there even today. So it's like a really, really elite place. Now, in 1953, the first Nigerian trained Sandhurst officers were commissioned, and these were Zakaria Mai Malari, Umar Lawan, and then later that year we had the likes of Abafemi Ogundipe, Robert Adedayo become officers. We had other people that became officers. Now, the most senior officers were Yorubas. Samuel Ademilogun, Ralph Robert, Awafemi Ogundipe. Then followed by next in seniority were the Sandhurst trained soldiers, who were mostly Kanuri Muslims. You had Umar Lawan, again Zakaria, Mai Malari, and then you had Kor Mohammed. The only person that was on this same level of seniority but wasn't trained at Sandhurst was Agunye Ironsi. But next in line was lieutenant colonels, who were ethnically, they were very diverse. They were ethnically diverse. Then we had next majors, who were Sandhurst trained Igbos. Then junior officers, these are lieutenants and NCOs, who actually came into the military through encouragement and campaign from northern politicians. Like, northern politicians were the ones that encouraged them to join the military. Now this means that when all the senior officers, all the Yoruba senior officers, when they leave, the next in line, the middle grade officers, dominated by the Igbos, will be directly commanding northern subordinates. Get that? So basically, this means that when senior officers retired, middle grade officers dominated by the Igbos were going to be commanding mostly northern soldiers, which I sort of feel slighted because it means like this rivalry, this drama has always been between the north and the east. Like, nobody is talking about the west. Like, we don't even matter in all of this. We don't matter. Anyways, this is not a joke. Now, let's talk about the general officer commanding. That's the GOC, the first GOC. Now, the British GOC needed to, transfer power to a Nigerian GOC. Now, There were four senior officers before the international program. We had Brigadiers Johnson Agoyinrosi, we had Samuel Ademilegun, we had my Malarima, and Zakaria my Malari. This is name like a tongue twister. And then we had Babafemi Ogundikwe. Now, the British GOC had to recommend a successor amongst all of these four. Now, the problem is Agoyinrosi, Samuel Ademilegun, and Zakaria Mai Malari did not see eye to eye on things. So this appointment to become the first GOC became a political campaign, like an unofficial political campaign. Now the GOC also appointed, just as a side note, he appointed Lieutenant Colonel Ojuko as quartermaster general and Gowon as adjutant general. Now, talking about the four men, particularly, let's dive deeper into the four men and their characters. First, Aguiyi he was the most senior, but he was not universally respected. He was the most decorated, the most easygoing. He could speak Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and English. He had served in Congo. He was the first African commander at the UN peacekeeping mission in Congo. He was awarded by the Austrian government because of his efforts in rescuing Australian hostages, where he sent Mai Malari home. So now him and Mai Malari disagreed on how the Nigerian troops should handle firing. So he sent him home, being that is the most senior, right? Now, Samuel Ademulegun was the most capable, but also the most unpopular. He was a stickler for discipline and the most controversial of all of them because junior officers considered him a pro Akitola person. It means that people really did not like Akitola for anything. So he also had an open friendship with the Saldana of Sokoto, which is Ahmadu Bello. So he gave him more friends in the army. He also felt like because he was politically connected, see connections, politically connected, it will get him the GOC job. So he identified more with enemy politicians, which is the coalition of pro Akitola and the North. Now, Babafemi Ogudikwe he did not like anything political. As a result, he was the least conspicuous. He served in the World War II in India and Burma, also served as chief of staff during Congo UN peacekeeping operations. Now, my Malari was the best trained, but the least experienced. He was ferocious. He did not tolerate any form of indiscipline. He was very intimidating and did not tolerate disobedience. He was widely respected amongst the northern NCOs. He was their role model. He goes through the ranks. It took him 8 years to become a major and 2 years to reach brigadier rank, which is like triple promotion. And he was commanding an entire brigade, outranking men that joined the army decades before. Like he was people. These are people that joined the army decades before him. So the only officers in rank to him was Aguiyi Ironsi, Wafemi Ogundikwe, and Ademulegun. Now, these are the characters of these four people. Now, the British GOC's recommendation. First, he excluded my Malari. He felt like even though he was he was well trained, felt like he was the most young, and he wasn't mature enough to handle that position, which is fair. I feel like it's fair. But now, based on his other recommendation for the other three, he said Aguiyi had not been in contact with the Nigerian army and his problem. He had never commanded a brigade in Nigeria, and given that Aguiyi has never served under him as a British GOC, he cannot assess his political capabilities. I also think that is fair. If you don't know how, is it really fair? Because you can ask people that he worked with. You can ask them to see how is this person. However, Aguiyi had never really worked with the Nigerian army, so I guess that's where I'm not sure he's for this role before. Adam Legun, while he was, according to the British GOC, he was very knowledgeable about the army and its problem. He said he was forceful, he was intolerant in his opinion, and he made judgments. He made hasty judgments. He also had too many enemies, and he wasn't very respected. He didn't have the loyalty of the officers, so that's definitely not a good leader. I feel like Ademilebu is one of those people that they also get eye on their own juice, and they feel like they are like I am now maybe this type of person where like very proud or stuff like that. At least that's how I feel about him from reading. Then Babafemi Ogundipe, the British GOC recommended Babafemi Ogundipe as his successor because he had a very good temperament. He was also well respected by all ranks of the army. He was well balanced. That is, the fact that I said he was well balanced does that mean the rest of them were not well balanced? He possessed sound and well balanced judgment. Professionally, he was knowledgeable about the army, and overall, it would make the best GOC. Now, he gave his recommendation to the Nigerians, to the federal government. What do you think they did? They said, no way. Who is this guy? We don't know him. We don't know him. See, this is a lesson. When you join a company, you, yes, work hard, do the work you need to do. But you need to know the who is who and mix well. Don't just go to work in the morning and go home. You don't talk to your colleagues. You don't try to make friends. You do see. You need to do connections. Like you need to know how to be political a little bit. Yes, be hardworking. Yes, be smart. Yes, be intelligent. But you also need to connect with people socially, network, so that they can promote you. Hmm. Anyways, the federal government said no, they don't know the guy, so they cannot. So the British GOC also gave other recommendations in the case where they don't, take his own for Agoyin, Ronsi, or Ademilegun. So they didn't accept it. Now it was now a tussle between Ademilegun and Agoyin. So Saudana, the NNA, that's the politicians that were with the North and pro Akitaba people, they wanted their guy, Ademilegun, right? NCNC, which is the Igbo-led party, canvassed for Agoyin. Fortunately, the prime minister, he didn't want to annoy the coalition he had from the Igbo ministers. So he pleaded with the Southerners to allow them to appoint Agoyin to satisfy the NCNC. At least let's give them this one. Like imagine. Anyways, after several hours of trying to convince the Southern, he finally accepted. And that's how the Agoyin became the first general commanding officer of the army. Now, under Agoyin in January of 1966, the army had 2 brigades and 5 battalions. The 1st, 2nd, and 4th battalions in the south were under the command of Brigadier Mai Malari in Lagos. And then the 3rd and 5th battalions were under Brigadier Demilegun in Kaduna. Then Babafemi Ogundipe was posted to the UK as Nigeria's military attaché. So that's how it is. So Agoye is the GOC, Ademilegun is leading the battalions in the north, Kaduna, and Mai Malari was leading the one in Lagos. I feel like at the end of the day, it worked. It wasn't so bad the way they did the appointments. It wasn't so bad if you think about it. Igbo person was GOC, Agboyin was GOC, and then you had like a Yoruba man that was leading the north, and then you had a northerner that was leading in the west. So it was fair in that extent. How they got there wasn't the best approach, but at least it was fair. So thank you so much for coming to this episode. Let me know what you think about it. If you're a military person, give us more details about how the ranking is done and what you think about how this was done back in the past. Looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.